Hi there, I'm Chris Cook and I'm the STEPS Head of Course. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about direct entry to CQUniversity's undergraduate courses. So firstly, I'm going to talk about different types of undergraduate courses at CQUniversity and how we classify them. Then I'm going to talk about grade point average or GPA and how you calculate your GPA. I'll then talk about the requirements for direct entry, and the direct entry application or DEA process and application deadlines. And finally, I'm not sure why you would do this, but also I'll talk briefly about applying to other universities. Okay, so two different types of courses at CQUniversity. The first is guaranteed entry. And guaranteed entry means that you're guaranteed a place in an undergraduate course if you meet the criteria. So that means that you have to complete the required STEPS units and meet the minimum GPA requirements. Now, almost all courses at CQUniversity guarantee STEPS students a place in those courses if they meet the requirements. There are, however, a small number of quota-based courses, and these are courses with limited number of places available, and it's usually because of placements. To gain entry into quota-based courses, you must meet the minimum requirements, so you must complete the required units and meet the minimum GPA requirements. But offers go to students with the highest GPA, so students are competing for those limited number of places. Now, Oral Health, the Bachelor of Oral Health, also has an interview, but for all quota-based courses, that GPA is important. So in terms of eligibility for direct entry, as I mentioned, you need to complete the required STEPS units and achieve the required GPA. And each undergraduate course requires specific STEPS units and a minimum GPA. So it depends on which course you're intending to apply for as to which ones you'll require. And the details are set out in the direct entry section of the STEPS course site on Moodle. So when you log into Moodle, you should automatically have access to the STEPS course site. Check the direct entry tab and there's loads of information there. But if you have any questions, or importantly, if you change your course of interest, please contact your access coordinator. So we have on our records the course that you're aiming for, and we've set up a study plan accordingly. But if you change what you intend to apply for after STEPS, please contact your access coordinator so we can update our records and also advise you on your study plan. Okay, so calculating STEPS GPA. So STEPS courses are weighted equally. So this is a simplistic way to calculate GPA. It may differ slightly in undergrad. But basically what you do is you take the results that you get for each of your units and you convert them to a number. So if you get a high distinction in one unit, you would get 7 points. A distinction 6, a credit 5, a pass 4, and a fails with 0. Now let's have a look at one example. So here we have Jessica, who studied 4 STEPS units and achieved the following grades. 1 distinction, 1 pass, 1 high distinction, and 1 credit. So what's Jessica's GPA? Well, what we need to do is take that distinction, which is worth 6 points, add a pass, which is worth 4 points, so in total we've got 10. A high distinction, 7 points, so we're up to 17. A credit is worth 5 points, so now we're at 22 points. And we divide that number by the number of attempts. So we've got 4 units there. So 22 divided by 4 equals 5.5. So that's Jessica's GPA. And that's how you go about calculating your GPA in STEPS. Now, the requirements for direct entry to most undergraduate courses is that you complete the required STEPS units and achieve a GPA of 4.0 or better. So that's a pass average or better. Now, there are a couple of guaranteed entry courses that have higher GPA requirements. So podiatry practice and speech pathology honours have slightly higher GPA requirements. Now, I've got those in red there because they are subject to change, but that's what they are at the moment. As well as this, there are 2 undergraduate courses with no direct pathway from STEPS, and these are the Bachelor of Engineering Honours and Diploma of Professional Practice Co-op Engineering, which is a mouthful, and the Bachelor of Information Technology Co-op. But you can go into the degrees, if you're thinking about these ones, you can go into the Bachelor of Engineering Honours or the Bachelor of Information Technology, and after, which have, by the way, the same first year as the corresponding courses above. And if you do well in that first year, so you complete a specified number of credits with a GPA above a specified limit, then you're able to transfer into those courses. So although there's no direct pathway, there still is a pathway to those courses if you're interested in those ones. Now, quota-based courses and minimum GPA. So these are the quota-based courses and their corresponding minimum GPA in red. The majority are minimum GPA of 6, which is a distinction average. There are a couple that are 5. And as I mentioned before, the Bachelor of Oral Health also has a telephone interview. And if you go to the STEPS course site on Moodle and look at the direct entry document that's there, there'll be some additional information about those courses. And so, for example, for the Oral Health, it will also include information on how to prepare for that telephone interview. Now, to find out more information about the undergrad course that you're thinking of applying for, you go to the handbook. So handbook.cqu.edu.au. You go to degrees, click on undergraduate, and then type in the course name that you're searching for. You'll get a number of options that will pop up and choose the one that you're aiming for. So in this case, I've typed in nursing and selected CQ23 Bachelor of Nursing. When that comes up, you'll have some information about the course. And the tabs that I've circled there are really important for you to be familiar with. So we've got Overview, Getting Started, which contains information about where and when you can start and what you need to get started. It'll also include a tab on course learning outcomes, course structure, and some more details. And that might include things like information about residential schools. Having a look at the Getting Started tab, you'll see when and where the course is offered. And if you hover over any of those ticks, there might be some additional information there. Now, you'll notice that not all courses are offered in all terms. So some courses will only be, you'll be able to start in term 1. Others might be able to start terms 1 and 2, and some might be offered, and you might be able to start in any term, terms 1, 2, or 3. Now, if you click on what you need to get started, there might also be some additional information. Now, this is really important if English is not your first language. So in some cases, you may need to demonstrate English language proficiency via an IELTS test or equivalent. So please check that information if you are from a non-English speaking background. Now, once you've got the course that you're aiming for, you click on the big green Apply Online button, and it will take you to a screen that looks like this. Now, rather than typing out all of your details, because you're an existing CQUniversity student, you just click on Log On with your CQUni username and password, and it will populate a lot of that information automatically. Once you're into the system, then you'll be able to choose the mode of study that you're looking to do. So in this case, I've got Bachelor of Nursing, and if you have a look at the load category, one says full-time and the other says part-time. So full-time is 3 or 4 units per term, part-time 1 or 2. And once you've selected that, it will take you to a screen that looks like this, and then you'll have the undergrad course that you're aiming for. Now, it's really important to think about second preferences, particularly if you're aiming for a quota-based course. So if you're unsuccessful in gaining a place in your course of interest, you need to have a second preference there. So to do that, you click on Select Another Course, and then you go through the same process of selecting the course you're interested in. Now, it's really important to check the requirements for direct entry that are, as I mentioned, on the STEPS course site on Moodle, because different courses have different requirements, and you need to make sure that your study plan is also going to allow you entry into your second preference should you be unsuccessful in your first. Once you've got your courses listed, you can check the preferences. So you'll see below each one, they've got some information there about preferences. So this one says preference 1, you can have preference 2, and you can have other preferences below that. Now, if you want to make any changes, there's a green button on the right over here that I've circled. And you can increase your preferences, or you can remove them if you change your mind about particular preferences and so on. Once you have selected your courses, you've got some other information to enter. You'll enter some personal details, some information about your educational background. There are some mandatory requirements that you'll need to complete and then review and submit. Now, at any time after you have submitted your application, you're able to log back into this system and see the progress of your application. Okay, so direct entry application deadlines for 2017 are 2 weeks prior to the commencement of term for guaranteed entry courses. Quota-based courses, the deadline varies, but usually it's just after the census date of the previous term, and your access coordinator will advise you of the exact date via email. But we recommend that you submit your direct entry application just after the census date of the term prior to commencement for either guaranteed entry or quota-based courses. Now, these are the requirements for 2017, sorry, the deadlines for 2017, but as of 2018, the direct entry application deadlines are going to be much earlier. So the direct entry application deadline is usually going to be just after the census date of the term prior to the one for which you apply, but your access coordinator will advise you of the exact date via email. So it's very important that you check those emails, but keep it in mind that you need to submit your application well before the start of the following term. Now, if you have any questions about the requirements for direct entry, the first place to check is the STEPS course site on Moodle, and there's a document there called the requirements for direct entry that has loads of information about requirements, and there's also on the Moodle site itself lots of frequently asked questions, and that may answer any issues that you have. If there's anything you're not sure about, or you're thinking of changing your course of interest, contact your access coordinator. And then if you have any general inquiries about the undergrad course you're aiming for, you can contact the student advice team on 132786 or send an email to sat@cqu.edu.au. Now, should you wish to apply to another university, it's your responsibility to contact the university you intend to apply to and check their requirements, because there's a good chance that their requirements will differ from CQUniversity's. And you may be able to apply directly to the university, but more likely you'll need to submit your application to the relevant state-based tertiary admissions centre. So for example, in Queensland it's QTAC, and you could submit that online, and the due dates will be listed on the relevant tertiary admissions centre website. Now, unlike direct entry applications to CQUniversity, there will be some costs involved in applying to other universities. Okay, so that's it. In summary, check the requirements for direct entry, information on the STEPS course site on Moodle. Read the course information in the handbook, so that's the undergrad course you're thinking of applying for. There'll be loads of information in the handbook. Fill out and submit your direct entry application online from the handbook. Make sure that you nominate a second preference, and submit your application just after the census date of the term prior to the one that you're aiming for. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the student advice team or your access coordinator. Okay, so that's it from me. I wish you all the best with your studies, and I look forward to seeing your name among the successful students who have gained a place in an undergraduate course very soon.